Hey, I work at a homeless shelter overnight from like 11 at night to 6 in the morning. But sometimes I work there in the daytime. See, when I get there overnight, the guys are generally sleeping. They're asleep. You know what I mean? So I don't really interact with them much unless, they go back and forth to the bathroom. The bathroom is in the same area where the staff is located, and I'm the staff. So I've been there for maybe going on a month now or something like that, and I'm starting to get a feel for things. And one of the biggest questions that I had when I first started working there was, how is it that these guys who work jobs, how did they end up in this under these circumstances where they have to stay in a shelter, or are they voluntarily staying in a shelter to avoid some type of financial punishment or to save money? That always kind of scrambled my brain and had me thinking, because my first couple of weeks there, I met a guy who used to own a bunch of Applebee's in Maryland. He was a former millionaire. And recently, over the last week, I met a guy who worked at the airport, the Richmond airport. And there's another gentleman who I met who actually he's a former cop, and he's a current security guard for a college, and he's an armed security guard for that particular college, VCU. And he had a second job where he was actually a supervisor of a housekeeping department at a hotel called Best Western. And I just recently started talking to him. He's a gay man. He's in the part of the LGBT community, and he was very very standoffish. But recently he started talking to me and opening up to me, and I asked him straight up. I'm like, "Yo, and he just recently got another job at Amazon as a production manager. You know what I mean? Or a production supervisor or something like that. It's an at-home job, and because he doesn't actually have a home and he stays in the shelter, he goes to the library every day to work. And he's not going to be at the shelter tonight or the next 2 days because Amazon actually knows that he's homeless, and they actually booked him a hotel because he's going to be on call 24 hours a day for the next couple of days. So they booked him a room at a hotel so that he can have internet access 24/7 because they need him 24/7. And I asked him straight up, I'm like, okay, you're in a position. He used to work at a mental hospital called Central State. He's got a master's degree in mental health and stuff like that. And I just asked him straight up, why are you in this homeless shelter? And he told me that prior to being in the shelter, he was living in a motel rather, for 5 years. You know, and I was like, you have all of these good jobs and stuff like that. So why is it that you're staying in a shelter? You got some really good jobs. Like, you make more money than the people who work here at this shelter. And he was like, well, I'm staying here right now so that I can save money. I went through some financial hardships 5 years ago, and I got myself into debt and stuff like that. So I stay in shelters, not because I have to, but because it's the best thing for me to do in order to save money. And I said, okay. And then the vast majority of guys that stay in the shelter, I would say, are there because they had baby mama drama. Baby mama drama. They live with their baby mama. They had kids. They live with the girl. And after they broke up with the girl, or after the girl left them, they didn't have anything left. This one guy was telling me that he has 4 kids, and he's been with the mother of his child for 16 years. And I was like, because there's a sentiment in the shelter amongst the guys who stay there, a sentiment of they hate women. Whenever there's a conversation going on about women and stuff like that, they always say things like, yeah, they're out to get you. If you don't have any money, they don't want you no more. They only like you when you can provide things for them. I'm beginning to understand the mentality of a lot of these guys, right? And I was able to understand that the reason why these guys feel this way and they're so negative towards women is because they're in the positions that they're in, being homeless, because things didn't work out with the woman in their lives. Like, this guy was telling me, he was with the woman for 16 years. They got 4 kids, and he was saying that she just changed. And he had a good job and he was making good money, and he would actually give her half his check every week. He got paid weekly, and he would give her half his check. And he was saving his own money in a shoebox. And she discovered the shoebox one day, and she approached him and said, "Hey, you're holding out on me." That's the story that he gave me. And apparently they had some other issues or whatever, and he blamed everything on her and said that she was controlling, she was money hungry, and she left him. And as a result of her leaving him, it made him homeless. I don't know why. I don't know if he was dependent on her to have her name on the lease because he didn't have no credit. I don't know. All I know is the vast majority of guys that I talk to in there are homeless because baby mama drama. You know what I mean? And there are a few guys scattered in there who are voluntarily homeless. So, I've been there for a while now, so I'm starting to understand the dynamics. And, you do have guys out there who are drug addicts and stuff like that, alcoholics, and they aren't really interested in changing their life. They're just trying to have a place to sleep at night. So you got all different walks of life. But I was always curious about the guys who have jobs because about 5 in the morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning to about 5 in the morning, the guys who work and they leave, so I'm talking to them before they go or whatever. And everybody else wakes up at about 7 and they have to be out the shelter by 8 a.m. So they come in at 5 p.m. and they have to be out by 8 a.m. the next morning. So 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. the workers are leaving so that they can catch the bus, so that they can be to work on time. And like I said, man, it's a lot of guys who have good jobs there, and it always boggled my mind, like, why are you in a shelter? But now I understand, So everybody who you see as homeless isn't homeless because they have no other way. Some guys are voluntarily homeless. So yeah, man, just some random thoughts. Peace.